Most people think discipline is just about grit, about grinding harder, waking up earlier, pushing through pain. But neuroscience tells us something deeper, something more profound. Discipline originates in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for impulse control and future planning. It is here, in the folds of gray matter just behind your forehead, that the war between the flesh and the spirit is waged every single day. It is the battlefield where your future is either forged or forsaken. The prefrontal cortex is not merely a biological feature, it is the seat of divine intention, the place where your higher self battles against temptation, distraction, and the seductive ease of. Now, this region of the brain is unlike any other. It allows you to imagine, to plan, to envision a version of yourself not defined by your present impulses, but by your potential. When you say no to that craving, when you rise before the sun to train, when you open the book instead of scrolling endlessly, you are activating this sacred structure. You are choosing to walk not by sight, but by vision. You are submitting the lower instincts of the limbic system to the authority of your calling. And yet, this doesn't happen by accident. The prefrontal cortex must be trained. Just as the muscles of the body grow through resistance, this region of the brain is strengthened through struggle. Every time you override distraction, you are sending a signal deep into your neural circuits that you are not a slave to emotion or appetite. You are aligning yourself with order, with structure, with purpose, and in doing so, with a higher law that governs not just your biology, but your destiny. You were not created for chaos. The prefrontal cortex reveals that you were designed for dominion, not over others, but over self. It gives you the capacity to tame the wildness within, to choose the narrow gate, to build something eternal through the discipline of today. This isn't simply neuroscience, it's sacred architecture. You were formed with the tools to govern your thoughts, your habits, your life. Discipline is not repression, it is resurrection. It is the raising up of what is dormant inside you, the calling, the assignment, the strength that slumbers until summoned by consistent, focused action. When you activate this part of your mind, you are choosing to transcend the noise of the world. You are putting on the full armor of purpose. You are declaring war on mediocrity, because discipline is not about control for control's sake. It is about stepping into the authority you were born with, the blueprint written into your neurons by something greater than evolution. This is not willpower alone, it is worship. It is obedience to the calling etched into your biology. The prefrontal cortex isn't just a region of the brain. It's the altar where decisions are sacrificed for destiny. Dopamine isn't just for pleasure, it reinforces disciplined behavior when tied to long-term goals. Dopamine, often misunderstood as merely the chemical of pleasure, is in fact the neurotransmitter of pursuit. It is the divine spark within the brain's reward system, a messenger that drives you not toward comfort, but toward calling when properly aligned. The world has hijacked dopamine, selling it as the thrill of the scroll, the hit of the like, the sugar rush of temporary satisfaction. But in its purest and highest function, dopamine is heaven's signal, wired into your biology to reward purpose, not passivity. Each time you delay gratification for a vision greater than the present moment, dopamine responds, not with the hollow applause of indulgence, but with deep internal fire. It says, yes, this is the path. Stay on it. When your brain begins to associate reward not with instant pleasure, but with the grind of repetition, the pain of growth, the pursuit of legacy, it rewires the entire system of motivation. You no longer chase what is easy, you chase what is eternal. The miracle is this: dopamine is not fixed, it is directed, and what you reward you reinforce. When you train yourself to feel satisfaction not from the result, but from the effort itself, you create a loop of unstoppable discipline. Neuroscience confirms it, but heaven ordained it. You become what you pursue, and what you pursue shapes what your brain learns to crave. The enemy of purpose is not pain, but misplaced pleasure. Discipline is forged when dopamine is married to vision. This neurotransmitter isn't just chemical, it's covenant. It binds your present actions to your future self. It rewards consistency over chaos. It was never meant to be wasted on trivialities. It was meant to propel you up mountains, through storms, across deserts of doubt into the land of fulfillment. But to access it rightly, you must train your mind to delight not in the fleeting, but in the forming, in the shaping, in the stretching. Dopamine, properly understood, is divine ammunition. It reinforces your resolve. It celebrates the unseen effort, the early morning prayer, the late night study, the repetitions no one notices but heaven counts. And when your goal is higher than comfort, when your ambition is anointed, dopamine becomes the fuel of the disciplined, not to gratify, but to glorify, not to escape, but to endure, not to entertain, but to elevate. Your brain, your chemistry, your biology, they are not obstacles, they are instruments, and dopamine is the signal fire leading you not to what is easy, but to what is necessary. Let it guide you not toward the pleasures of the flesh, but toward the fruits of the spirit born through discipline. The anterior cingulate cortex acts as an internal alarm system, helping us detect errors and stay on course. Deep within the sacred architecture of the brain lies a structure designed not for comfort, but for correction. The anterior cingulate cortex, or AC, serves as a divine alarm bell, an inner watchman stationed at the crossroads of thought and action. It was placed there not by accident or random evolution, but with purpose to alert you when you veer off the path, when your behavior betrays your calling, when your actions drift from alignment with your higher self. This is not guilt, this is grace. The ACC is mercy in motion, a neurological compass calibrated for truth. It doesn't shame you, it shapes you. It scans your choices, monitors your intentions, and when there is misalignment, when you act beneath your potential, when you say what you shouldn't, when you skip what you committed to, it sounds the alarm quietly but clearly. That discomfort you feel when you break your discipline, when you scroll instead of study, when you compromise instead of commit, that is your ACC speaking, calling you back into order. The world will tell you to numb it, to ignore it, to silence the signal with distraction, dopamine, or denial. But to silence this voice is to reject the very mechanism given to you for growth. The ACC is God's whisper within the neural network, saying, "You are made for more." It does not condemn, it convicts. And conviction is the beginning of transformation, because only those who can hear the internal alarm have the power to redirect the ship. The blind do not repent, the deaf do not turn, but you have the gift of awareness, of correction, of course alteration. And the beauty is this: the more you listen, the louder it speaks. The more you obey the internal signal, the stronger it becomes. Discipline isn't just built through effort, it's preserved through listening. Every time you pause, reflect, and course correct, you strengthen this divine feedback loop. You are not just learning from mistakes. You are tuning into a frequency higher than instinct, deeper than emotion. You are accessing divine alignment through biological awareness. You were not designed to be perfect, but to be guided. To fail and then to feel, to fall and then to know why. The anterior cingulate cortex was not placed in your brain to paralyze you with regret, but to propel you with resolve. It is the pulse of repentance inside your physiology. And every time you heed its signal, you are not just staying on track. You are honoring the gift of correction, the sacred echo that calls you home when you drift. To build discipline without the ACC is to walk blindfolded. But when you learn to trust its warnings, when you treat discomfort not as a curse but as a compass, then your path becomes straight, your footing firm, and your decisions rooted not in confusion, but in clarity born from the fire of correction. Neuroplasticity means discipline can be trained. Your brain physically changes with consistent effort. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not bound by what you once were. You are not limited to the patterns you inherited or the weaknesses you've rehearsed. Within your brain lies a divine capacity for change, a supernatural design known as neuroplasticity. This is not just a scientific term, it is a sacred truth. It means your brain, your mind, your habits, and your entire being can be reshaped through consistent action, righteous intention, and holy repetition. Every thought you repeat is a prayer. Every disciplined act is a chisel in the hand of the sculptor, carving new circuits into the brain. This is not metaphor. It is Measurable, each time you resist the old impulse and choose the higher road, your brain lays new wiring. It strengthens the path of obedience, the road of focus, the trail of resilience, and what was once difficult becomes natural, not by magic, but by the miraculous law of renewal written into your very biology. You were never designed to be static. You were created to transform. The brain's capacity to adapt, to evolve, to be rewired is not only a gift, it is a calling. The Creator did not leave you helpless in the fight for your future. He placed within your mind a system of growth, a way to break cycles and build new ones, a method for turning weakness into strength through daily, disciplined effort. That means discipline is not a trait you either have or lack. It is a skill you forge in the fire of repetition. The lie is that this is just how I am. The truth is this is who I am becoming, and who you become is not determined by a single moment, but by the rituals you repeat. Wake early, focus deeply, train deliberately, sacrifice consistently. These are not random behaviors. They are blueprints. They carve grooves into the brain's structure. They build highways of holy discipline until what was once foreign becomes familiar, until the brain begins to crave what once required force. Neuroplasticity doesn't erase struggle, but it ensures progress. With every repetition, you are not just doing a task. You are becoming the type of person who does it. The smoker can become a runner. The lazy can become the focused. The broken can become the disciplined, not through wishing, but through working. And each time you push through resistance, your brain rewards you not immediately with pleasure, but with potential, with transformation, with a deeper wiring. That makes discipline not just possible, but permanent. This is not just biology. It is redemption. It is the renewing of your mind in the most literal sense. Every disciplined decision is a seed planted in the soil of your neural circuits, and if you do not grow weary in doing good, in repeating what matters, in practicing what is hard, the harvest will come, not just in success, but in identity, in transformation, in freedom born from structure. Sleep, light exposure, and nutrition directly impact your ability to stay disciplined through brain chemistry. Discipline does not rise out of raw willpower alone. It is built on the altar of physical stewardship. Your brain, the very command center of your decisions, your focus, your resolve, is not powered by sheer ambition. It is powered by rhythms, by rest, by light, and by fuel. You cannot expect the fire of discipline to burn brightly in a temple that is neglected. The spiritual battle is waged in physical vessels, and those vessels must be honored. Sleep is not laziness, it is strategy. It is the nightly recalibration of your entire nervous system. During deep sleep, your brain clears out toxins, repairs damaged neural connections, and fortifies the very circuits responsible for impulse control, motivation, and long-term thinking. To rob yourself of sleep is to rob your future self of the clarity, focus, and strength required to obey your highest calling. The disciplined mind is not just built in the gym or the prayer closet. It is built in the stillness of the night, where restoration flows like oil upon the brain. And then there is light sunlight, the original stimulant. When your eyes first behold the morning sun, a signal is sent through the optic nerve to the brain's master clock. Hormones are released. Cortisol rises, not the stress kind, but the alertness kind. Serotonin is set in motion, which will become melatonin by nightfall. Discipline thrives in bodies aligned with the light. Darkness breeds confusion. Delayed exposure to light delays the rhythm of discipline. But when you greet the light early, intentionally, daily, you anchor your biology to divine order. You train your brain that the day has begun, that the mission is live, that action is required. Nutrition, too, is not just about the body. It is a covenant with the mind. What you consume becomes the fuel for neurotransmitters. The amino acids in your food are converted into dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, the very chemicals that influence mood, energy, clarity, and resolve. Skip meals, eat sugar, drown in stimulants, and your discipline crumbles not from weakness, but from biochemical sabotage. But when you nourish the body with real, whole, intentional foods, you are laying a foundation for mental fortitude. Fasting with wisdom, feasting with intention, This is not dieting, this is devotion. You cannot pray for fire and pour water on the wood. You cannot ask for focus while depriving the brain of what it needs to function. Discipline begins not just with decisions, but with preparation of the body, of the hormones, of the systems created to support divine ambition. God does not despise your biology. He designed it. He sanctified it. And when you honor it with rhythm, rest, light, and fuel, you are not just caring for your body. You are unlocking the full potential of your mind. Discipline flows more freely through vessels that are clean, calibrated, and aligned with the natural laws written into creation. True freedom emerges when your neural circuitry prioritizes purpose over distraction. Freedom is not the absence of boundaries, it is the presence of divine alignment. True freedom is not doing whatever you feel whenever you feel it. It is the power to walk in purpose even when every voice of comfort calls you away. And that freedom is not mystical, it is neurological. Your brain, in all its complexity, is not just a bundle of thoughts, it is a battleground of priorities. The circuits you strengthen become the paths you follow, and the more you follow distraction, the more it becomes your default. But when your neural pathways are rewired by discipline, by intention, by sacrifice, your brain becomes a servant to your mission, not a slave to your cravings. Distraction is not random. It is rewarded. Every time you surrender to it, you reinforce it. You train your mind to seek novelty instead of depth, ease instead of excellence. But there is another way. You can train your brain to desire what matters. When you act in alignment with purpose, when you pursue the hard thing repeatedly, you are firing and wiring new neural connections, literal highways that carry the signals of focus, of persistence, of spiritual resilience. This is not metaphor, this is science, and this is sacred. Your neural circuitry, the connections between the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system, the basal ganglia, forms the infrastructure of your behavior. If these circuits are ruled by impulse, you will find yourself drifting through days, distracted and disoriented, pulled by the gravity of world. But when those circuits are ruled by purpose, by vision, by truth, by eternal assignment, you no longer chase noise, you anchor to mission. The brain no longer runs toward the trivial, it becomes magnetized by the eternal. This is what the world cannot teach you, that your freedom does not come from release, but from restraint. The man who trains his brain to obey purpose is freer than the one who obeys every urge. He is not tossed by waves, he commands them. He is not lured by every shiny thing. He sees through it. His mind, his chemistry, his circuits are now aligned not with chaos, but with calling, and in that alignment there is peace. This is the true power of discipline, not just to achieve, but to transform, to take the brain, once fractured, once impulsive, once addicted to the shallow, and to forge in it a system that honors truth. You are not at the mercy of your distractions. You are the steward of your attention, and your attention is sacred. What you give it to becomes your life. When your circuits choose purpose over noise, mission over mood, obedience over emotion, then freedom is not just felt, it is lived, encoded into your very flesh. This is the kind of freedom the world cannot steal, because the world did not give it. It was built in the fire of discipline and sealed in the architecture of a renewed mind.